Welcome back to the Garden with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along. Want to find out more information about those companies, those coupon codes, all of that can be found at our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab at the top of the page, as well as the Money tab. Summer garden maintenance, Holly, is something that if you lawn maintenance, yard, lawn. If you want a pristine lawn, you want it to look good, this is a segment for you.
Yeah, so summer heat can take a toll on your grass, your lawn, your yard, etc.
I'm sure there's a difference between lawn and yard.
Sure.
Okay.
Maybe lawn is like just that you have there, and then yard is like a utilized thing, you know? So like you might have a yard, and then you have like a fire pit and a little sitting area, and then the kids play croquet.
Well, I've got an answer for you.
Okay.
In America English, a yard generally refers to the entire outdoor area surrounding the house, while a lawn specifically refers to an area of grass within that yard.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that's according to a Reddit thread, so take that for how much you want.
I feel like yard is like an area where you...
Oh, you can go down this rabbit hole.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you want to make sure you're mowing at the right height. Taller grass will shade your soil, and that reduces water evaporation. Shorter grass...
As well as it would choke out weeds, too.
Yes. Shorter grass doesn't allow for the bugs to do their thing that you want, so because they help the ecosystem. So if you cut it too short, that's not good. Obviously, too tall means that a lot of times, especially into the thick of the summer, you get more mosquitoes. So that is why you want to make sure you're mowing at the right height.
Based on your grass, between 2 and 3.5 inches. So you're based on what kind of grass you have, it varies, and you want to mulch that. You don't want to pick up, we'll get in that, let the clippings lie. If you're mowing your grass at the right height, you can let your clippings fall between the grasses, and then it will break down and feed the soil and save money on fertilizer.
There we go. So you want to water properly. So you want to make sure that you water your lawn deeply and infrequently. Obviously, if you have a lot of rain, you can't control that. But this is something that I think, from what I understand, people don't always, they might water too much.
Yeah. There are certain ways in which you can set up your in-ground watering system and then figure out how much you need to apply. There's different type of mechanisms now in order to sync up with a weather app or a digital thermometer that will adjust for the adequate amount or no water particular time of application. So you want to do that as well. And if you're going to do an in-ground pop-up head system like we see in many municipalities, many HOAs, have the thing, make sure it gets on the lawn and not the sidewalk or the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can drive down any neighborhood in America during the summer, and you can pick out 3 or 4 houses where there's more water going on the street and the sidewalk than on the grass.
Right. I mean, even businesses, you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a...
And whether it's a downpour, a deluge, them things are still going.
Right. There's a business by us that I think for a while had the what's it called, the sprinkler going half in the road. Yeah, so it's silly, and I think it would go off when it rained too.
Well, yeah, and it used to be the one across from where the studio is here. It would go. It would water like at 10 o'clock at night because you'd hear it, and now they don't do that anymore for whatever.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what it was. That was a weird thing. So you want to make sure watering properly, mindfully. If there is a not water ban, what do they call it? Restriction. Then you have to, pay attention to that. I personally don't get excited about lawns. So I'm like, it's whatever. But some people really take pride in their lawns, and that's fair. And to each our own, right? So you want to treat for grubs like Japanese beetles. They lay eggs in the grass early to midsummer, and then those grubs will eat cause problems. I think they
lay eggs, the larvae, and then you got the Japanese beetles.
Yeah. So we can talk about one thing that would help them is Phylum Bioproducts. They have a granular, what's it called, that you spread around, and that helps with the grubs and the Japanese beetles and the June bugs and all that. So yeah, you want to make sure that you are doing something to treat for that, especially if you are very serious about your lawn. It will help prevent those insects, pests, whatever you want to call them, from laying those eggs and causing further damage and devastation to your hard-earned, hard-worked lawn.
And whether you seeded your lawn or you brought sod in, doing these steps can help pristine and keep the lawn pretty, because there is some people that they don't let people walk on their lawn. They mow it in specific patterns so it stays, like a baseball field.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that people don't think about this. If you utilize your lawn for, your kids or yourself or whatever, walking on it does cause compaction. And that brings up not parking on it, not driving on it, which probably seems silly, but you never know. You might have a party and you're like, oh yeah, just park on the lawn, whatever. If you park on the lawn, it does cause that compaction, and that could, could kill off the grass. And even in drought times, it's something to stay off the lawn because it can add to the compaction. When it's a drought, the lawn doesn't die, it goes dormant. So just keep that in mind. A lot of people don't know that. Another thing is to clean up after your dog. Your dog can cause dead spots on the lawn. So if you are concerned about that, you can dilute the urine in the soil. You can flush it with water or spray water. Another thing you can do is you can make a mulch or pebbled area to use for your dog so that they can have, or just block off an area. Like some people have dog runs. Or
it's
is that what they're called?
I don't know what it is. Is it like a chicken run where there's a designated area for the dog?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have a fenced off area just for their dog.
Okay.
To do their business.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if I had a dog, I'd be like, whatever. But that's me.
Well, you got to pick the stuff up, otherwise you can't go in the yard.
No, but I'm saying I wouldn't have a designated area for my dog.
Well, the reason why is because the urine will stain and kill the grass. That's why you don't want to have it in a certain area. That's what the yellowing areas are.
Right. Yeah, no, and that makes sense. I just saying that, I wouldn't be that particular about my lawn. That's just me. But anyway, you might be. So if you do have a dog and you're concerned about your grass getting yellow, you can give them a spot, their own designated spot, or you can dilute the urine with water. You flush the water. Or you can make a little specific dog park mulch, pebbled, whatever area. Some dogs won't go on not the grass or a pebbled area, so your mileage may vary with that. Make sure your mower blade is sharp.
Yes.
Yeah, so a dull mower blade can cause tearing of the grass. It will make the grass ragged, have brown edges. It'll sometimes pull the grass up. You don't want that either.
Yeah, it'll gnaw it. Just like you have a dull knife or anything, sharpening the blades, whether you do it yourself with an angle grinder or you take it somewhere and have it done professionally, will not only make the grass cut cleaner, it will make the grass healthier, and the efficiency of the unit will work better, whether it's a push lawnmower, whether it is a push battery, a riding lawnmower, or the old, the non-motorized, I don't forget what it's not a sickle lawnmower. You know what I'm talking about?
Non-motorized.
Yeah, it's the one that has the thing that spins.
Yeah.
Those
have blades on them too.
And you got to sharpen. Yeah. Now you can aerate your lawn. That helps with compaction. That helps getting fertilizer in the ground if needed. The best time to aerate your lawn depends on the type of grass you have. So if you know what you got, then this is easy. If you've just moved in and whatever's growing, like on the farm, we did whatever it was, we just mowed it and that was into it. There was the pristine level of the lawn was not a key importance on the farm. For cool season grasses like Kentucky bluegrass or fescue or perennial ryegrass, the optimal time is early spring or early fall. Now, aeration is whenever you purchase a machine that pulls little plugs of soil. It goes down 3-4 inches. It pulls a plug out and throws it up on top of the surface of the lawn. For warm season grasses like Bermuda grass, you should aerate in late spring or early summer. It's generally the best to aerate for those. And the plugs, based on if you do it yourself or a landscaper comes in and does it, the plugs can stay there and they'll work back in the soil. You can fertilize, you can water. It's a whole thing. But also there's a level of dethatching, thatching, which is removing the dead vegetation that's on top of the soil.
Let's talk about aerating.
Yes.
What does aerating do?
It allows...
I know they remove chunks, right? They remove chunks, like little cylinder size.
Right.
I think like 1 inch to 2 inches deep. They remove the chunks of the soil. So a lot of people feel that aerating does what?
It improves air, water, and nutrient flow to the roots of the grasses.
That makes sense. Okay. I don't know if people know that or not, so that's why I mentioned that. Another thing you can do is to pick up the litter, which not literal litter, but I mean maybe you do have litter in your yard. I don't know. People might drive
pesky
by.
Neighbor kids.
Yeah. But things like whether it be toys, water games, lawn chairs, tools.
Meaning laying there for days or weeks on end, and then killing the grass underneath.
Basically, yeah, that's what happens. Is that say you have, you don't have a designated area, and you leave whatever it may be out there, it is going to smother the grass.
On the farm, we would do that on a big patch of weeds. We'd throw a big board down, or we'd throw some debris on it to kill the grass.
So it's like the opposite.
The opposite effect, yeah.
Yeah. But I think people don't think about that, how that can have an impact.
I'll get it tomorrow, and then tomorrow becomes next month, and you're like, oh, the grass is like dead here.
Yeah.
And you've got this outline of a chair, like a person that has a bikini on. It's just a straight. It's
or it might be the kids' like water play table or something, and you might leave it in one area. But if you're trying to improve your lawn, you might not want to do that.
And we'll close on this note. We talked about picking the dog's droppings up and all that. Don't be the person that goes and walks your dog and the dog decides to go in somebody's yard and then you just scurry away and let the debris stay in the lawn. Don't be that person.
Yeah, you really should not be that person.
That's why people don't like you.
Exactly.
Well, Holly, summer is in full swing and we're not going back. Those Japanese beetles are going to be wreaking havoc, if not already. We talked about that, what's in your lawn, the larvae, and you can cure that issue with Phylum bioproducts.
If you're looking to successfully control beetles without damaging the environment, look no further than Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts. Derived from a naturally occurring soil bacteria, Beetle Gone is the only organic solution that successfully controls beetle invaders. Just mix the powder with water and spray it on your plants. Once ingested, the targeted pests will stop feeding and die. And since it's an organic BT product, it's a great choice to use on your fruits and veggies in addition to your ornamental flowers and trees.
Not only does Beetle Gone work, what the best part about the product is, it is safe to be used around beneficial insects like ladybugs, bees, and butterflies, and has no water toxicity. That's BeetleGone.com from the parent company PhylumBioproducts.com. Again, BeetleGone.com.